Hey, what's up guys? My name is Jefferson Gonzalez and welcome to the Creation Corner. So what is the Creation Corner? Basically, the Creation Corner is a student spotlight of all the artists at Monmouth University. So whether you dance, you sing, you paint, you draw, you dance, you sing, you paint, you draw, you do photography, filmmaking, all that kind of stuff. That's what the show is here for, to showcase your art. And it's going to be a great show today. Today we have Chana, who does 3D printing. So she brought her 3D prints and we're going to ask her about it and she's going to showcase her prints. And we have Emily Esperanza, who's doing a bilingual translation of Can't Help Falling in Love with You by Elvis Presley. And we also have Troy Fenton, who's going to be talking about his photography. And it's going to be a great show. Hope you guys enjoy, and coming up will be Chana and her 3D prints.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Hey everybody, my name is Jeff and welcome to the Creation Corner. Today we have our very first special guest, Chana, and I'll let her, talk about herself and how she got here to Monmouth University.
Hi, I'm Chana. I'm a graduate student. I'm earning my master's in interactive digital media, which is one of the communication focuses. And part of my degree, I guess, is learning how to use the 3D printer.
So how long, before you even got here, have you had any experience 3D printing?
None whatsoever.
No experience. So
No.
what made you think oh, 3D printing, that's something I want to do?
So last year I had an independent study with Professor Dickie Cox. He's incredible and so creative and really inspiring. And it was a goal of mine because this independent study was actually about digital puppetry. I wanted to be able to use every single piece of equipment in the IDM lab, and the 3D printer was one of them. And I just fell in love with how creative you can be and how many uses you have with this amazing piece of machinery.
And so which one of these beautiful prints that you have here was the first one that you made, out of this group?
I think, I don't remember. These are my earlier prints.
All right, so let's talk about these.
Yeah, sure.
So explain what this red little character is.
This red little character, this is a Pikmin. It's from a Nintendo game. Now normally they have white eyeballs, black pupils, but it took me a while to get from the static prints to learn more about how to articulate prints and do multicolors. But you can see here the progression of how I learned how to use the 3D printer. These are flat. These are literally 3D versions of designs that I had made in Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop. There are some designs here that I adapted from other people's works. So there are so many amazing websites out there where other artists share their works for free and you can print them. I like downloading them and making them my own because I feel like the best artists are inspired by each other.
And so how long did that little guy take?
Well, it was a learning curve. So there were many, many iterations until I finally found a design where it was giving the kind of motion that I was looking for. These are all drafts of what I eventually would like to be earrings, because these little characters, they walk. So eventually there'll be a smaller version of this and it'll look like it's walking on my shoulder or something like that. But yeah, 3D modeling.
That's so cool, that's so cool. So definitely what's sticking out to me right now is that little guy right there with his little hairdo. Can you explain that one?
This one?
No, this one right here.
This one.
This one right here.
Yeah, this is someone else's design. This is a poison apple from Walt Disney's Snow White. and it has 3 different colored filaments. So normally with a design like this, so like a smaller print like this, it takes a few hours at most. This one took about 24 hours.
Oh wow. That's crazy. That's a long time.
Yeah, thankfully you don't have to be in the same room as a 3D printer. Like you could just like let it do its thing and come back the next day and wow, you have a beautiful piece of artwork. But yeah, I was initially gonna make this for a friend and then I was like, actually, this is so cool, I'm gonna keep it for myself.
Yeah, I get you. So out of all of these, which one is your like most favorite?
Ooh, I love them all equally. They're all my children.
No, there has to be one that you're like, you know, like this one is like so good. Like I love this one.
I think the purple octopus menorah over here, I gave it to my family for Hanukkah. We call it the menorah octopus. I just love how detailed it is. I don't think that filament is compatible with fire, so I wouldn't actually want to put candles in here, but I still think it's so cool.
And how long did that take? 24 hours too?
About, yes.
Okay. And so, what would you say one of the challenges is when it comes to like 3D printing? Like, what is one of the hardest things? And like, let's say like before you even start the print, what would be like one of the challenges?
3D modeling is very weird, and to be honest, I'm not an expert. There are so many resources out there like Tinkercad that make 3D modeling easier. It's like taking shapes and then putting them together and then you have a model. I think that the learning curve for that is difficult. I think that learning how to use the machine and trying to cooperate with like the filament and just making sure that you're not messing up and breaking anything. I think, yeah, it takes a lot getting used to. Okay, look, this is another print.
Oh.
It extends, but it doesn't go all the way back down. So there are still some things that I'm learning about this, but it printed in place. Pointer.
And what's like one thing that you would want to make? Like if you had like the biggest 3D printer in the whole world, like what would you make?
Wow, I don't know. I feel very lucky to be able to take advantage of the 3D printer in the IDM lab through this program. And I love that I'm able to use it to have like creative solutions to problems. Like this is a watch stand that I keep on my bedstand. I think that I would want to make some kind of customizable organization drawer. I love wearing funky earrings. As you can see, I 3D printed these earrings. I would love to create some kind of organizational system in my room so I can properly see all my funky earrings.
That's cool. And do you see yourself doing this like once you graduate? Like would you continue, you know, 3D printing and like working on it and stuff like that?
I think it's neat, yeah. I don't know what the rules are like for alumni to be able to use the IDM lab, but again, it is an amazing resource. But I know that there are libraries out there that also have 3D printers. I don't know if it's something that I would want to invest in on my own because they're honestly very expensive. Yeah. But yeah, I like that I have the ability to do this. I'm a puppeteer, as I mentioned, so part of my digital puppetry independent study was making articulated eyes. So I think if I continue down that path, I would love to be able to create more with it.
Is there any like 3D prints that you're working on right now?
No, I printed some extra ones just to share with you in your show, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, I appreciate you having here.
Thank you.
This is amazing, this is amazing. I've never met anybody who's ever like 3D printed. Like I've only seen this stuff on like Instagram or like YouTube. So it's really cool to like see these in person and like, especially like this, like, yeah. I don't want to break it, I feel so bad, but like.
Do it, it's only a draft.
Okay, but like that's so cool, look at that. And like.
It's a learning thing, yeah.
I would say my favorite out of all of these is this tiny little duck. It was hidden in plain sight. This tiny little miniature duck. That would be my favorite.
Thanks.
But that's it for the first segment. This is Chana, and we'll see you guys in the second segment.
Hey, honey. We thought we'd try something new.
Family art hour. What do you think? You got jokes. You're funny.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Learn more at adoptuskids.org.
My baby's back from the West Coast.
Here are those pictures that you asked for your school project? First day of school, cute as a button.
So long ago.
Oh, here's Grandma Florence after that flood wiped out the whole neighborhood.
Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here.
I can only hope that we'll be able to leave this house to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
Planning for these disasters will make sure we're safe, and it's the best way to protect that legacy.
Ah, those beans smell heavenly.
Give Mom a little credit.
You know what? We should make an emergency communication plan. That way we're ready this year.
Oh, thank
Great
you.
idea.
At my dorm, we have emergency kits for earthquakes and wildfires, but I'm sure there's something more local I can send you with the link.
Okay.
Smart.
I'm coming to share with you guys.
Protect your legacy. Plan for natural disasters today. Visit ready.gov/plan.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Emily Esperanza.
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that I would never be able to get over it and that my kids wouldn't have a father.
Crippling depression, anxiety, exhaustion.
I was in prison and her mom had a heart attack.
There's a lot of institutional issues and challenges that suggest to us that dads aren't essential, and I've always rejected that.
Sometimes you don't have to know everything about being a dad. You just gotta be there.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the Creation Corner. And I just want to say that was so good. Like I was shedding tears. Like I was literally crying. Like that was honestly so good. So I just want to start by saying like how'd you get into music? Like how'd you get into singing? Like what's your story?
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of remember, you know, being a little kid. My mom was a piano teacher, so she taught me piano. And from there, you know, I always loved Taylor Swift. I always loved music as a little kid. And then I started to write my own music in about middle school, and I learned guitar. And I started to kind of develop like a really big passion for music. And then I started getting new influences as I got into high school, which turns into more of the Spanish language music that we can talk about. And out of all the songs, why did you choose Can't Help Falling in Love with You? This is a song that actually I had translated. I was doing a segment for a while on social media called Translation Tuesday, where I would translate a song, and it was with the goal of like bringing a song that people might not have heard, you know, because if there's a song in Spanish, people who speak English might not have heard that song. So that was sort of the goal of it, and this was actually a song I picked because I was like, oh, this is such a classic song, and how cool would it be if people who only speak Spanish could understand it, you know? So that was actually one that I translated, and it got a good response, so I figured I would sing it today. And so did you grow up speaking Spanish, or is that something you learned throughout your, you know, education career? Yeah, so I did not. You know, I'm from here, so my parents don't speak Spanish. I didn't speak Spanish. You know, I did it in school, but you know, I was always like, oh, Spanish class, you know, but I think it was more during COVID, during the pandemic, when, you know, I had a ton of time on my hands, you know, like most people. So I was like, you know, let's really get into this. I actually learned watching TV. I kind of just loved like this certain TV show, and I just watched so much that eventually I was like, yeah, like, you know, I'm kind of getting there like to a fluent level, and then music helped a ton to learn. And so how hard was, you know, learning Spanish with, like, I'm assuming you don't have any Spanish like family members? No. So like how hard was that, like, you know, like just that journey of learning Spanish? It was, you know, it's never easy. You know, it definitely takes dedication, and I can't say I would have maybe have had the time to do that if it hadn't been for the pandemic, you know what I mean? Because I mean, I was just sitting there hours on end, you know, like I even did like online lessons. I made online friends from like Mexico, from many places to kind of practice with, because I didn't know anyone who spoke Spanish like natively. So yeah, and then music helped a ton. I just started listening to some artists, found music that I really loved, because I think that when you have the passion for a certain media or certain music or a TV show, the passion is there, and you're going to learn a lot faster. All right, I'm going to go off the script here, but who's your favorite Spanish artist? Oh my gosh, so difficult. I love Argentinian music. Oh, really? Yes, I love Fito Páez. Oh, I've never heard of him. He's an Argentinian rock singer, and I actually studied abroad in Argentina last year, which was so cool. Such a cool experience. So I got to kind of work on that accent. But in terms of like more mainstream Latin music, I love Tini. She does like reggaeton, and I love her. And so what was the process of like translating the lyrics from English to Spanish for Can't Help Falling in Love? I mean, it's not easy ever, and there are certain songs that don't, you know, fit as well into a different language, because you have to, it's not just translating, you know, it's also making sure it fits with the rhyme and the rhythm and the flow of the song, and making sure that the same message gets across. And what ended up happening is, you know, most of the time you can translate directly, but sometimes with songs especially, you have to take a few liberties and decide, you know, when that's okay. And as long as you're still getting that same message across, that's the most important thing, because in the end I want to make sure people are getting the message and feeling the song in their native language. Yeah, I get you. And is there any other songs, like what's been your most notable or your favorite like Spanish translations from English to Spanish? I gotta say, this one was one of them, Can't Help Falling in Love, just because I think it's such a classic song. Another one that I did was Tan Enamorados, which is a very classic song in Spanish, and I was able to bring it into English, and a few people were like, wow, this is a great song. And I think that's the main thing I want to do, is get people to kind of open their minds and listen to music that maybe they wouldn't have listened to before. And last question, what advice would you give to someone who's just starting into music and, you know, they feel lost, they don't have their muse? What would you tell them? I think like find your niche, you know, and find that thing, like even if it's kind of like random or weird, because I know I thought I was like, oh my gosh, like in high school I was getting into all of this like Spanish music, and before that, you know, I was singing like Taylor Swift all the time. So, but then once I started I just kind of followed where my passion went, and then I ended up finding people who were like, no, like that actually is a good idea, you know, because at first my parents were like, who's gonna listen to that? You know, like that's such a random thing, like, you know, all this like random music in Spanish. But in the end, you find the people that are going to support you, and now, you know, my family thinks it's so awesome, obviously. So yeah, follow your passion, and like even if you think no one's going to be into it, like there will be people who have the same passion as you.
Well, I just want to say that was an amazing performance. We're so happy to have you on the Creation Corner, and we hope to see you again. Thank you, guys. Get ready for the next segment where we have Troy Fenton talking about his photography.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable. The sad reality is, fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency. Get tips and resources to make your family's emergency plan.
Hi, my name is Daysani Clark. Welcome back to Creations Corner. I'm here with Troy Fenton. So, tell me a little about yourself.
Hi, what's going on? Thank you for having me on the show. My name is Troy, and I am a junior at Monmouth University. I'm a communications major with a concentration in media studies and production. So I work with cameras, a lot of video work. I'm the sports photographer for the school, so I go and I travel with the teams, and it's just an amazing experience. So I'm actually here with my twin sister as well. Nice. So we both committed at the same time, which is kind of crazy, but yeah, so that's a little bit about me.
All right, love to hear it, love to hear it. All right, so can you share with me how you got into photography and what drew you to this form of art?
Yeah, so it actually started back in high school. So before COVID had happened, I took a photography class and I really enjoyed it. You know, I kind of took it a little bit more serious than the students in there, and I really formed a great relationship with my teacher. So I was like, can I take the camera home? Because at the time I didn't have enough money to afford anything. So she was like, you can. So during Thanksgiving time, this is when I was a freshman in high school, so during Thanksgiving time, I would take the camera home. So during my junior year of high school, this time I wasn't able to take the camera home because COVID had hit. So I was like, Mom and Dad, can you please buy me a camera? My mom's birthday was coming up, so it was March 13th when we all got out of class to go back home because COVID was happening. So March 14th was my mom's birthday. So my mom was like, I want you to take these photos, but I was like, Mom, I can't bring the camera home from school. So I was like, I begged my parents, I was like, look, can we like split the bill for how much a camera would cost? So I begged them to bring me to Best Buy, and I was like, can we please just go get this camera? I was like, okay. So we went, and I just literally spent all my money on this one camera, this one lens. It was like a Canon T6, like a really beginner starter level camera. So my mom's birthday did wind up happening. So my whole family comes over my house, and I just started to take photos. And this was the first time where outside of class I was really like trying to be like kind of take it a little bit more serious. So I fell in love with it. I was like, wow, this is not only a way where I can capture memories for my family, but I can also like do this as an actual job. So from that point on, I just went to YouTube and I was like, how do I get good at this? How do I edit? How do I, what are the right settings to get? What do I do? What do I have to buy? Like all this type of stuff with lighting. So I just kind of had fun with it. And just a little bit after that had happened, I came to Monmouth University. And I was like, I want to take photos here. And I didn't know what that entailed. I didn't know if that job was even available. So I was like, you know what? with the work that I've done, like, you know, over COVID, having so much free time, I was like, I'm gonna submit all my work that I have to Monmouth University. And I emailed every athletic staff member on here at Monmouth, and I was like, these are my photos, I'm Troy, like, I'm interested in taking photos. One guy got back to me, and he was like, come to the women's soccer game. I was like, okay. And at the time, I had this beginner level camera, so I did not have a camera to take any type of sports photos. So I get there and I'm like, look, like, this is really what it is. I really don't have a camera to do this job. He was like, that's fine. You can use the camera through the school. I was like, that's great. So I took those photos and he was like, do you want the job? I was like, yes. And from there, like, I have been doing it for the last 3 years, and it has really changed my life.
Yes.
So
I love to hear. I just love your passion and your drive for it. Yes.
Thank you.
Of course. What is it about photography that captivates you the most? Like, how does it influence your perspective on the world?
Oh, that's a great question. I think for me, you know, it's photography, but it's really, for me, it's not really about taking the photo. It's about the conversation which you have with the person that you're working with. For me, growing up, I went to a lot of PWI schools, so I didn't really fit in being the only African-American in my classrooms a lot. So coming to college and having a little bit more of a ballpark of people to work with, it's just been amazing to just kind of be myself and kind of give my outlook on things. I'm an extroverted person. I'm positive most of the time, so I just love pointing to people and, you know, just showing people like who I am. And, you know, I feel like I'm a really good listener as well. We listen to respond a lot, but I just like to listen and really, you know about somebody else. And I think that is, you know, you get the photo, which is great, and that's the memory right there, but I get to know your name, I get to know what you do, I get to know the things that you've been through, and I'm also photographing you. So I think for me, the connections and just being able to have a one-on-one conversation and kind of like instilling myself in somebody's life for maybe 2-3 hours, whatever time frame the photo shoot is going for, that really means the most to me, because it does gain, as you said, that perspective, that worldview of not only what you think, but, you know, what others do think.
Right, right. Okay, and you're also into videography, right? Correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so tell me about that. How did you get into that? Did you, did you start off with photos and then you transformed?
Yes. So I started off with photos, and I actually had, I would go on YouTube and I would watch these podcasts, and I was like, I want to create a podcast because I like talking with people. So I created my own podcast called The Front Row, and I just was like, what camera do I have to buy to do this? And so I bought the equipment for that, and I was just like, this is what I want to do. I really like video. I like telling a story if it's in podcast form. I do a lot of the sports photos, so I was like, let me, you know, expand myself in doing video. So I just been having fun with that, and I feel like it's completely different than photography and taking a photo, because you have more time to get whatever shot you want to get, and you can really tell a story because you have a certain time frame to do it. You know, and you're a little bit more flexible. So to learn to have both and have both in your side pocket is just great.
Yep, love it. All right. As a photographer for the university, what are some of the most memorable moments of your experience while capturing images on campus?
Yes. So it brings me back to my freshman year. If you guys want to zoom into this photo right here, this is Tyrese Wright. He was a football player for Monmouth University. He just graduated. He's trying to go to the NFL right now. But I remember when I had my camera and I'm just taking photos, and I was so excited because I've never been around this type of environment. I've never been to a football game, like live like that, on the field. And they won the game, and they're all going back to the locker room. And Tyrese comes up and he's like, yo, what's going on? It's so nice to meet you, man. I'm so glad you're here. And from there, we just became really great friends. And like, he had no clue the impact that he had on me. And just as an upperclassman and also as a brother being African American, like, I was just like, wow. So I really looked up to him, and it was just an amazing period for me to actually have that experience.
All right, okay. I love to hear it. Nice story. What advice would you give to upcoming photographers and videographers?
I would say don't compare yourself to other people. You know, at the end of the day, it's your work, it's your style, and you do what you need to do. And you do what your heart desires. I think with social media, you see this person is doing that, this person's at this event, but fall in love with your proximity. Fall in love with the people that you have in your circle right now, and be able to, you know, kind of fill up their cups, you know, and see what you can do in your environment. See what, if you live in a certain environment, you live in a certain household, or you go to a certain college, work around there and work with what you have with, and not think that, you know, I have to get to this event, because this event is going to be over in an hour. Right. So
Okay, thank you so much for talking. This was Creation Corner. I was Daysani Clark, and please tune into the next episode. Thank you.